Hi, I'm Nancy Rayner with a review of this oil pastel set by Lightwish. They did give this set to me for free in exchange for this review, and I've never used these oil pastels before, so I'm looking forward to trying them out. These oil pastels come in 3 different sets, and a set being a collection of colors. And here, I'm opening this up now. It has some brochures and some interesting instructions, and here is the array of 50 of the soft oil pastels. And I chose this set, which is called Mirandi, because it was meant for landscapes. So each of the 3 different sets that you can get are for different purposes. There's a classic set that's meant for portrait, and this is the Mirandi set. So you can get them on Amazon. I'll put the link below in the text below this video. But really, with 50 pastels, there's a ton of colors. So I don't think you could go wrong with any set. But again, this is the Mirandi set. Let's go back to look at the box. It's a pretty box. And what could be confusing is that it says that the company is Q-Lox. But the parent company is called Lightwish. So you're buying it from Lightwish on Amazon, but it is a Q-Lox company under Lightwish. So I've been using oil pastels for years. I love oil pastels. It's one of my favorite mediums. I also use acrylic, but I really love oil pastels. If you've never tried them before, I highly recommend it. They're very playful and fun, and they're relatively inexpensive, portable, easy cleanup. So I really like them. They do advertise them for children, even though this is called a professional set. And I think that can be confusing, but they are perfectly fine to use for professional purposes. And I'm a fine art painter, so I use oil pastels all the time for my work that I sell in galleries. Over the years, I have tried many different brands, and I did a couple different reviews on my blog on my website for, let's see, I did one for Rubens, the Rubens pastel. Let me turn it around here. And I did another one for this brand called Artix. I've also, so these two, Artix and Rubens, I wrote some reviews on a blog, as I mentioned, that you can read on my website. But I also use this brand called Holbein. And basically, to be perfectly honest, all of the oil pastels I've tried are all great. I mean, I don't think I've ever met an oil pastel, tried an oil pastel that I didn't like. They have such a wonderful quality to them. So basically, we're looking at the array of colors that we get in the set. And again, here is the array in this Q-Lox by Lightwish set of 50. And you get a really nice array of colors. The important thing to know is that with oil pastels, you can mix and blend and create thousands of different colors just with a small grouping of colors. So you don't need every color available. But the reason I liked Holbein is because they have, I don't know if you can see, one color is available in several different values here. So I like the Holbein, but what you want to consider is the color array, but also the price. And the prices are quite different. With the Holbein, they come in also different sets. Each pastel, there's 5 pastels in here, each pastel runs about $4 to $6, whether you buy them individually or in a set. That's a lot of money, $4 per pastel. Now, this set was $29 for 50 pastels, which actually comes out to about 58 cents a pastel. So 58 cents versus $4, that's a big difference. So if you've never tried oil pastels before, these sets that are inexpensive are really worthwhile, I think. Just to play around and not feel like you're spending a whole lot of money. So when they called me to see if I would do a review in exchange for this set for free, I said yes, because I'm always looking for new oil pastels, I like to use ones that are fit into a good budget. But I was also intrigued by the fact that they said they were square. Now, these Holbein sticks are square, but all the other pastels that I've tried, so if we look at these Arctics, here's a set, Arctics. These are they're round. So usually oil pastels are round. So I was intrigued by the square idea, and they're a really nice chunky size. Let me compare it to these. They're almost the same as the Holbein, and I really like this square shape. I also, when I opened up the set, I really liked that they give you a huge white and black. I'm always running out of white. White is a really good one to blend with different colors, so I'll go through white faster than any other color. So I really like that they have this nice big, thick, chunky white. So I'm excited to try this set out. Before I try it out, I want to clear up one common misunderstanding, and that is the word pastel can get confusing because there's two completely different, should I call them categories or varieties of pastel. There is the oil pastel, and then there is something called soft pastel. So let me just show you the difference so you don't get confused. Here's a piece of sketch paper. Now this is chalk, which the industry calls soft pastel, but it's really like chalk. If you've ever used chalk on a sidewalk or chalk on a blackboard, that's what this is. It's pigment, and you can see that it's pretty loose and powdery. This pigment is made into a pastel with a very small amount of binder, and binder is the word for whatever holds pigment together in all paints and art products. So the binder for these chalk pastels, and I really should call them soft pastels because that's their official name, is a gum, a natural gum. Whereas the oil pastels, and here's, let's try one that's a similar color. Let's see, a nice red. This is the oil pastel. This has, it's a totally different feel to it. And when you smear it, it doesn't smear like the chalk pastel. This is pigment for the color, just like this one, but the binder is different. The binder is a little bit of wax, a little bit of oil, and it's just very different. So with the oil pastels, you really can build up layers. You can put one color, see I just lightened that with this light green, and I can lighten it even more with the white. So one thing I want to check when I use oil pastels is their ability to layer one on top of another. The chalk pastels, they do layer, but in a whole different way. These build up almost looking like paint, whereas these will always stay in the paper. So I wanted to make sure you realize that there's soft pastels are chalky and oil pastels are oily. If you think of a combination of lipstick meets crayon, that's why they're so much fun, and they say they're for kids because they're very playful and kind of the glidey, whereas this is more scratchy rather than glidey. So one thing that I found that's confusing is the top of, let's get this box back here. This set that I'm reviewing here, it's actually, let me look at it here. It's called Soft Oil Pastel. So when I got it, I was confused because soft pastels are the chalky ones and oil pastels are the gooey ones. But here they call it Soft Oil Pastel. So just wanted to make sure you knew that these were the oil pastels, not the official soft chalk ones. So now let's give these oil pastels a try. I used them a little bit just now, but let me put this back in and talk about how I use them. First of all, they are small. They do not come in large sizes. There is something called oil sticks, and those are very different than oil pastels. but they come big, huge, that you can work along with oil paintings. But these are fairly small, so I tend to work on, say, this is 8 inches by 10 inch paper. I'll work about this size, and I think behind me, let's check, these are both oil pastels, and this is a nice size that I like to work in with oil pastels. I have seen some artists working very large, but I think that they really lend themselves to small. And I love using these for what's called plein air painting, or going outdoors to paint. I just take the set, stick it in a backpack. I can hike in, I can just sit on a rock, and I have a little baby oil with me to clean it up. It's so easy to clean up. So it's very portable and easy to work outdoors. The other way that I use oil pastel is that I will create small scale models. So I'll do a whole painting with the oil pastels in this size, and then I like to work large for my acrylic paintings, let's say 4 feet by 6 feet. I'll use the small model as a reference to create the larger scale painting. So I can do an oil painting in a couple hours, but paintings, the acrylic paintings, take me weeks, sometimes months. And by doing a small model first, I can finish my paintings, my acrylic paintings, much quicker. So that is 2 ways that I use the oil pastel with outdoor landscapes, making small models. The other way is just to make quick paintings. It's just so much fun to work for a couple of hours and have something complete in a couple of hours versus, like I said, how I work with acrylic paint. To test the oil pastels and see how I like them, basically, again, it's the color, it's the price, and it's also how it feels. So right now I want to just test them and see how they feel. I will test them in 3 ways. For me, oil pastels need to work in these 3 ways. They need to be able to layer one color over another, which I just did before, but I'll do a little more now. The other is I like to blend to create colors that aren't in the set. So if I take a red and a yellow together, I can make an orange if there's no orange that I like in the set. So blending colors. And the third is that I love to put them in layers, but then use this knife to scrape back through one layer to get to another. So I'm going to show you all 3 ways, and I'll see how they feel, how they test with those 3 ways. So the first thing is I'm going to I'm going to layer. So just like I did before, I'm going to take one color. I'm going to this time go a lot darker with this blue on top. This has good coverage. Can you see how I just covered this light blue completely with this color? And now let's see if I can go lighter again on top of it. I can. So now I'm starting to blend and create my own color. Let's see if I can make it a little more violet by adding some violet. You could just keep piling color after color, and these are great. Remember I said that it's kind of like a combination of lipstick and crayon. If lipstick is kind of gooey and crayon's a little more waxier, harder. So if it's too gooey, you can't layer like this. Each layer will just take off the other one because it's so gooey. If it's too stiff and hard, it also won't layer. One pastel will take off the other. So they have to be the right combination of gooiness to keep layering like this. Let me try this white again. I really like this big, thick white. And the white, look at that. I can really change it totally. So this has good blending qualities and good layering qualities. Now let's see if I can subtract one layer into another. So I can actually make a drawing now and go through. This is one of my favorite things, is to take this X-Acto blade and just go through different colors. Can you see how? Let me see if I can make a little bit bigger space here. This time I'm going to try this dark green. Yeah, these really go good. So the light color can go dark really well. Let me actually try the black and go really dark. Look at that coverage. these are really great. I like them. So far for my review, I say yay, these are great. Now I'm going to take this gray and just put it on half. Yeah, pretty good. So I can really change it. I'll take the white and put it just on a third just so you can see. So again, you don't need every color in the rainbow. All you need is at least the primary colors, red, yellow, blue. You need black and white. Everything else is just convenience because you can keep mixing your own colors. Now let's try scraping back through. So in here, I can scrape back all the way to the green. So let's say you're doing grass. Grass is, you can kind of scratch the grass. Anyway, scratching is really fun. So that concludes my review. I highly recommend these. I think they're great. They have a wonderful feel to them. Again, that nice place in between lipstick and crayon. And a nice array of colors. I do like this big white. And the price is great. They're way under $1 per pastel. And they come in the 3 different sets. And there you go. Thanks for joining me for this review. Please visit my website, www.nancyrainer.com. I have, as I said, several other reviews of oil pastel. I also have an article on how I like to use oil pastel with a couple more tips on how to work with them, and some other classes too. Thanks again.